This is Steve.
And this is Shawn.
This is Acro Media's High Five.
So, what are we going to talk about?
We're going to be talking about Omnichannel.
Omnichannel.
Omnichannel, the hot buzzword of 20...
Are we going to explain what the hell that means?
2017 or 2016 and 2017 was a pretty...
Yeah, I think we're maybe past that now. I don't know. There's probably something new this year.
But we have, as a company, demonstrated and done it. It is not just a buzzword to us. We do it every day.
We're going to have to sort of what exactly it means.
Okay, so let's define it, and then we're going to talk a little bit about what we did and then what we continue to do.
I know omni means many and channel means channel.
Yeah.
So
I think you got it.
Okay.
No, I'm just kidding. So we generally talk about Omnichannel about a commerce experience, at least because we do Drupal commerce, in which the experience can happen online, in store, through other channels as well. You know, it still is kind of online, but it can be done through your phone, and more or less, your purchasing experience from whatever device you're on or in store.
And each one of those is a channel.
Is all going to be unified. So what we did, so we were just at DrupalCon in Nashville, and what we did for that event was we did a t-shirt pre-order. So that was one half of it. If you didn't get a part of the pre-order, you could still come to our booth and essentially purchase for free a t-shirt. So what we did was people could use our Urban Hipster e-commerce site. You could then go through the flow of that site and actually go to purchase that t-shirt, and then you could choose in-store pickup. The other thing we allowed you to do was you could go through that purchase flow and you could simply just opt to purchase your shirt and reserve it for an in-store purchase. So then what we would do is at our booth, it was one side of the booth was the actual pre-order and or purchase and or reservation of the shirt. You would then make your way to the other side of the booth, which was mimicking an in-store experience in which you would actually be going to a kiosk point of sale in which you were actually rung in and your order was all already in the database, it was already existing, and you would then receive your t-shirt.
And we ended up doing it sort of fairly fluidly too. Like if a couple of people were busy and someone was just there on their laptop, they would just bring up the customer service interface, you know, like they were a customer support person over the phone, and they would just punch you through, hit fulfill, you know, and put your order through, because we could do it through that. We could do it through the point of sale. We could also technically take orders through a kiosk setup that we had set up. Mostly we didn't make people put in all their info necessarily, but we did, you know, if we were demoing through, we'd put you through to order a t-shirt there as well. The kiosk, which proved quite useful as well, because people really like these self-serve sort of, you know, they could poke at something while sort of talking to us or whatever, instead of just sort of standing there waiting for us to like demo things.
You know what I found kind of funny? Like some people were pretty stoked because at least in the Drupal community, this isn't something that's ever existed. But there's also this mentality that, you know, they're impressed that it's happening, but it's like, oh, like, shouldn't this just exist everywhere? And it's like, well, yeah, it should exist everywhere, but most, you know, stores you go to and most retail stores you go to, this doesn't exist. You buy something online and it's its own return policy. That's
they might as well be two different companies.
Yes, totally. And you know, you go in store and you go to try to return something you bought online, it can't happen. You know, you try to sync your points or whatever, it never can happen. It's just a gong show, right?
That's not this login. You can't be like, oh, well, I've purchased in store before, I'll just log in online, totally different or whatever. Or even sometimes they have, some places will have where you can buy online and pick up in store, but sometimes it's like you buy online and you can pick up like 24 hours later in store, and you're like, well, I'll just go to the store and get it. Like you're not saving. The idea is like I would be at work or something and I would be like, oh, I want that thing, but I'm just stopping after work, so I want to get it really quickly. So I would just order, go pick it up and be through real quick. Except it's like your order will be ready in like 8 to 12 hours, and it's like, okay, well, I guess I'll just go find it myself in the store, right?
Exactly. Like a lot of websites do attempt to do it. I don't think this is an opportunity to throw any names out, but you do go in, and in many websites they'll say, you know, how many of that item is in stock, or you know, you go to reserve online. What a lot of people don't know is that functionality can sometimes just be a snapshot of something that happened at one point. It's not actually real time.
Yeah, it's the stock as of when it was last synced 4 hours ago.
Yeah, which might not be relevant if you're trying to buy a hot topic item.
And can almost be more frustrating because instead of just not knowing if it's in stock, you believe that it is in stock, and then it is not. And you go into the store and you go, hey, there's 2 of them still in stock. And the poor person on the other end has to be like, well, okay, that's what the site says, but that doesn't necessarily mean we have 2. There's still problems because obviously, like, if someone just grabbed it off the shelf and is still wandering around the store, you know, the stores don't have the kind of tracking to to do that kind of stuff or whatever, right? But you try to remove as many impediments to that as you can. You don't want to be like, actually, well, that's yesterday's stock. It's like, okay, well, that's a bit much, right?
And we've kind of gone over this too. The thing that we're really proud about in toting is that all this is the point of sale module and Drupal commerce module, module distribution, and it's just configured. It's just configured to our little store we set up. There's really not a whole lot of anything
what
fancy.
makes the whole omni-channel part of it work is just that they all use the same orders. A point of sale order is still just a Drupal commerce order. It has some specifics to the point of sale, but that doesn't mean it can be loaded up in the regular interface, or vice versa. The online one can be loaded up in the point of sale interface, and they're all the same orders. They use the same stock, the same products, the same everything, and that's sort of what makes the magic of it. And it's really just use the same thing or whatever. But weirdly, that seems to be like a novel concept. A point of sale is a point of sale, and an online thing is an online thing, and a customer service backend is customer service backend, and never shall they meet, basically.
Pretty much.
Well, I mean, it's kind of, especially point of sales tend to be, there's a few modern ones, but a lot of them are very, very antiquated. And so they're just not meant to, they literally come from like before the internet, and so they just have no concept of syncing up with things.
You're getting me frustrated right now, just hearing that.
If you go to a store, sometimes it makes you really upset, right? Like the more you learn about it,
the more that we understand the technology.
They're like, oh, we can't do that, right? Or we don't know this.
But you can.
Yeah, you're like, well, is it in stock in another store? Oh, I don't know. And they like have to like call the other store and be like, do you have this? And they're like, oh, I don't know. I'll go look. And you're like, really? Like, and it'll be like a big chain store or something too. It won't be like, I understand like a mom and pop store, they have like 2 locations maybe, right? But if you go into like a Home Hardware or a Home Depot and they're like, right? And it's like, come on, right? Or it's like, oh, maybe this is available. Where is it? Oh, I don't know, right? Like you can look it up online and it's like it's in stock, and it's like, well, where is it in the store? Yeah. It's like, oh, it's in the store. And it's like, okay, well, this is a massive store. Like now we're getting into my like.
So we've solved this. But not only have we solved this, we've implemented it. We've also shown it that we can do this, and it's out there. I'm sure whoever does the post-production for this video will put all the links below. But we've done it, and it's all open source. It's on Drupal. It's done now. You can use it. It's free.
Yeah, it didn't use anything special to set up our demo. Anyone else could set up just the same omni-channel setup that we did. We used, a laptop, a cash drawer, a couple of iPads, like a TV, nothing fancy at all.
Well, we set it up to put in perspective. Not only, we obviously took a little bit of time to set up our t-shirt pre-order, and we had a little bit of marketing that went into that. But the actual setup of the experience was us setting up the booth.
A couple hours Monday morning.
Yeah, and then by 3-4 p.m. we had it all running, tested, and ready to go for that afternoon. So it's kind of just shows exactly.
It's even the kind of thing where actually a useful thing is it's quite, if you need to pop up sort of a temporary store, at a festival, an event or something like that, right?
Yeah, true.
It can still be quite full featured or whatever. You can have a till and barcode scanning, and you can have a kiosk and that kind of stuff. It doesn't have to just be like, oh, hey, I'm writing them all down in this notebook, or like I have one thing on an iPad. You can do a whole setup in well within the time you could set up for a 3 or 4 day event. You're not wasting time or whatever, right? And it can just go via Wi-Fi or something. You don't need to have like a point of sale or a server set up locally or anything like that. So that was sort of a pretty cool proof. And then hopefully we're going to be at IRCE as well, which is another conference where we should have a sort of even better one. The crux of the demo will be the same, but just more smoothed out features, better integration, nicer interface, all those little things. So.
That being said, I don't think we really needed too long to read. I think it's omnichannel.
Yeah, omnichannel for real.
For real, it is.
We didn't just say it, we actually did it.
Yes, we actually did. So this will be the one time to our sub base, which I would say, obviously, subscribe to our channel, comment below. But if you can, share this video. The reason why I say that is because a lot of people say they can do omnichannel. We actually can do it. And on top of that, even the folks who say they can do it charge an arm and a leg for something that's close to omnichannel, but actually isn't. So I would say spread the word on this one.
Sometimes omnichannel means 2 channel or 1.5 channel or something.
So this is pretty big.
Cool. I guess we'll also just check us out on Facebook, follow our blog at acromedia.com, check me out on Twitter.